Hi, my name is Dale Pohl, and I'm glad to have you with me today for my 45-hour review. First, I'd like to share my artist statement with you. The picture window at my grandparents' house feels like I'm being carried on my father's shoulder. I opened my eyes and peeked at that window the last time that happened in an effort to remember that feeling. I was on the verge of being too old to be carried, so I pretended to be asleep on the couch in the hopes that my father would scoop me up and carry me to the car. It worked. He carried me, and I remember.
We subconsciously edit our memories to make them fit the way we want to think about the past, which then colors our present. Trying to preserve every special moment and keepsake has overwhelmed my tender heart and become a burden, especially now as I watch dementia cloud my mother's mind. I begin making visual revisions to the tokens of other people's meaningful moments by incorporating my personal associations into old found photos. Creating my cyanotypes is entertaining for me, a distraction from reality while collaborating with unseen photographers and unknown context to create a fresh memory or image through my lens and my context. I compose with photos which, after all, are someone's documentation of life events, proof that a moment mattered enough to create a physical object about it. By inserting myself into another time and place, I'm removing the pressure to remember exact details and I'm left with the enigmatic, self-reflective good stuff. Memories will keep being made and we will keep seeing them differently. I'm painting a possibility on the surface, but even a tiny bit of paint or pattern can spark a memory and rewind our individual playback reels. The lighthearted images and spectral colors in my work are meant to show actual and imaginary objects and events in a way that enlivens and enriches the narrative, as we do with our memories. The loss of a beloved, once comforting toy became bigger in my mind than is reasonable, taking on an astounding amount of significance and attention. Not surprisingly, many of us have had similar experiences and therefore are nostalgic about objects and images we have in common. By bringing them back into the present through my work, I'm widening my connections to other people and points in time, and I'm having a good time doing it.
Birthing chair, 22 by 30 inches. Clambers and boingers, 22 by 30 inches. Peking acrobats, 22 by 30 inches. Children's health fair for healthy children, 22 by 30 inches. Cosmetology conference, 22 by 30 inches. Owl and Pussycat play rehearsal, 22 by 30 inches. Cosmetology conference, combing, 22 by 30 inches. Edge of the pew sitter, 16 inches by 25 inches. Jump spot, 48 inches by 74.5 inches. He's gone, 36 inches by 48 inches. Entertaining education, 36 inches by 36 inches. Search party, 36 inches by 36 inches. In case of emergency, the drawer of important stuff, 36 inches by 36 inches. SAD, 36 inches by 36 inches. The takeover, 36 inches by 48 inches.
The takeover. In this painting, my daughters and their stuffed animals snuggle up on the floor of the blanket fort they made in their older brother's room a few days after he left for college. Although idyllic, this was a tipping point moment, one that I believe is relatable and worth sharing. The light around them is dim and cozy, but just past the fabric walls, a floor lamp illuminates the room with an artificial white light, creating a contrast that pushes the girls further into their cocoon. The expression on their faces shows pride and independence for building their own structure. The dichotomy of the filtered versus harsh light is a reminder of their dependence upon adults for the materials and the space. The girls seem blissfully unconcerned, as children should, so relaxed that they do not seem to mind that someone has just lifted the end of the fort to peek at them. The composition of the painting is built on a root 2 rectangle with a strong emphasis on the Baroque diagonal. However, the placement, value contrast, and edges of the fabric lead the movement in either direction, resulting in an insular path that circles the close-cropped composition. It grazes the younger girl and leads back to the girl with headphones. Her body is aligned on the Baroque diagonal, but her gaze aligns with the sinister, which creates energy and tension in an otherwise sedentary scene. The curve of the younger girl toward her sister and the curve of the older girl over her shoulder suggests that they are content rather than static. The rounded domes of their bodies, repeated in the tufts and folds of the bedding, the curve of the chair leg, the headbones, and the stuffed animals create a soft, unifying rhythm. Another more subtle rhythm can be found in the placement of pairs. Small dresser next to larger one, small girl next to larger one, small animal next to larger girl, a pattern which alludes to nurture and friendship. The inclusion and treatment of detail in the objects and setting allude to a documentative rather than invented scene, suggesting a relationship between these girls and these things in the space they've claimed. This gives the sense that this may have been a real event and is perhaps reflective. There's an element of symmetry along the back wall of the painting. The central dresser is flanked by the chair and a small chest, which are of similar size. All three have horizontal and vertical elements, which rise and disappear into the sheets. A similar amount of wall can be seen on either side of the center dresser, including a faint detail of beadboard, which gives stability to the other vertical elements and, along with a low vantage point, implies the height of the room. Another look at the composition shows the benefit of the rule of thirds. The painting could be considered a landscape, with the sagging sheet a sky heavy with clouds, the blankets on the floor as rolling hills, and the center horizontal area includes life space. This design also creates a perceived stillness, although it is interrupted by the older girl's body forming a tall triangle, breaking the format and creating asymmetrical balance. The entry point of the painting is made more dynamic by the placement and perspective of the girls in the lower third of the painting. It almost seems as if we might step on their legs if we're not careful. Taking the rule of thirds in the other direction, emphasis is placed on three characters: the younger girl, the older girl, and lastly, her teddy. The fact that the teddy bear is on his own, unlike the clutch of the younger girl's kitty cat, and headphones are on the older girl, foreshadowing that the big sister has almost outgrown the fort and is there for her sibling. The complementary red-green color scheme provides a feeling of nature and warmth, creating harmony in the little sanctuary of a hideout. Extreme ends of this scheme show up as magenta and bright yellow-green, which bring a youthfulness to the painting, as do the loose brushstrokes. The low value contrast creates a soft, intimate focus that is restful and sweet, and the absence of strong shadow keeps the mood light. The translucency of the overhead sheet gives a sense of space and provides a comparison of density amid the fluffy blankets and flat walls. The variety of textures, the metal chair, burled wooden chest, metallic file drawers, plush toys, and plastic headphones create contrast and interest among the gestural delineation of lines and folds in the fabric. The complex placement of all of these elements results in a scene of simplicity. It looks soft, it looks safe, it looks better than I remember even, and it looks like I could crawl right in.